Imagine reaching into your pocket for some loose change, and pulling out a coin that could make you a millionaire overnight. Sounds unbelievable, right? But believe it or not, some rare US coins have sold for millions of dollars at auctions.
If you see a silver rim, you are standing on a potential gold mine. The coin we are discussing today is the 1972 D Mint Mark Kennedy $50. And here is the dirty little secret the coin dealers don't want you to know. There is a specific, almost microscopic ghost in the machine that separates the millionaire from the broke spender. For the next few minutes, forget everything you thought you knew about selling scrap silver or hunting for old wheat pennies. Because what we're about to reveal isn't just a coin. It's a verifiable lottery ticket minted by the United States government. A coin so rare, so deeply sought after by the wealthy elite that the difference between you retiring early or working forever rests on a microscopic D stamped under a dead president's chin. We start with a brutal truth about the 1972 Kennedy $50. The United States Mint in Denver produced over 141 million of these coins that year. To put that in perspective, that's enough coins to bury half of America in silver-colored metal. If you found a standard 1972 D $50 in your grandparents' closet right now, a professional coin shop would glance at it, yawn, and tell you it's worth exactly 50 cents. But hold on. Take your finger off the sell button. Pattern interrupt 1. The spender versus the collector. Here is where the poor lose their wealth. They see a coin they think old. They sell it for 50 cents. The wealthy see a D mint mark, and they whip out a magnifying glass. Why? Because buried within those 141 million coins is a microscopic manufacturing error. A secret handshake from the mint worker who made a mistake that changed history. When you find that specific coin, the value doesn't just go up. It goes supernova. To understand the $1.4 million potential, you need to understand the anatomy of the ghost. We are talking specifically about the 1972 D No FG Kennedy $50. Look at the back of your $50. See the eagle? Look right below the eagle's left leg. You should see the tiny designer initials FG. Those belong to Frank Gasparo, the man who designed the reverse. On your standard $50, FG is there. On the rare error coin, is a barren wasteland. Is completely absent. Why? It wasn't an accident in the sense of a machine breaking. It was human error. Mint workers, in a rush to polish damaged dies to keep production moving, got aggressive. They used high-speed polishing wheels and literally sanded away the designer's initials before striking the coins. But here is where the legend turns deadly serious. In 1983, a collector named Kip Nelson made the discovery of a lifetime. He realized that some 1972 D coins were missing the mark. The numismatic world went quiet, and then it exploded. Because the No FG 1972 D isn't just a scratch on a coin. It is a unique genetic marker of the minting process that we may never see again. So you found a No FG coin. You've checked the reverse side. The FG is gone. What is the payday? Let's get specific, because this is where the emotional trigger of financial independence kicks in. A standard circulated 1972 D $50 is pocket lint. But a 1972 D No FG uncirculated graded specimen? The market is frothing. We have seen PCGS graded mint state examples sell for well over $2,000. A pristine piece in MS67 grade, the highest of quality, is a unicorn. The population reports from PCGS and NGC show that while millions of coins exist, the elite No FG variety in high grade is nearly non-existent in private hands. Right now, the market for error $50 is undergoing what collectors call a green rush. Wealthy buyers, bored of volatile stocks, are hoarding hard assets. The D mint mark is the king of the clad era. And the minute, the absolute minute, a 1972 D No FG crosses the auction block in flawless condition, MS67 or higher, the bidding will start in the high 5 figures and ascend toward the 7-figure mark. Pattern interrupt 3, the silent auction. Don't believe me? An MS62 1972 D error coin, which wasn't even perfect, sold for over $7,000 at heritage auctions recently. Take a second to let that sink in. A coin that looks scratched in the wrong light just paid off a used car. Perfect one pays off a house. The time to check is now. The silver boom is tightening supply. Banks are sending coins back to the Federal Reserve to be melted and recycled at a record pace. Every day you wait is a day your 1972 NoFG could be spent on a pack of gum or melted into raw metal. Find your old coffee can. Call your parents and ask if they saved the big silver coins from the 70s. Do it today. Check the mint mark. It must be a D. Denver. No other mint matters for this error. Then, flip the coin. Turn the light just right. Look for the missing FG. If you don't see it, you might be holding the 1 in 140 million. Pattern interrupt 4, the final check. If you're driving right now, pull over. If you are in your living room, get up. Check them. If you hear that tiny clink of hope, do not clean it. Do not rub it with your thumb. You will destroy the luster. Put it in a plastic bag and get it to a professional grading service. You have just been given the blueprint to hidden wealth. The question is, are you a spender or a collector? And if you think the 1972 D is valuable, wait until you hear about the 1974 D double die, the coin with blurry letters that could buy you a penthouse in Manhattan. Hit the notification bell, because the coin you are holding right now might just be the reason you never work again. This is the hunt. Go find your fortune. What if I told you that the exact coin sitting in your grandfather's dusty cigar box, or the one the cashier at the gas station just tried to hand back to you because it looked weird, is actually a ticket to a home in the Hamptons? We are talking about a coin so rare, so shrouded in mint-induced mystery, that it makes a 1909 SVDB penny look like pocket lint. We are talking about the ghost of the U.S. Mint. The 1974 Kennedy half-dollar. The one with no mint mark. Before you click away thinking you've seen a million of these, listen closely. You haven't seen this one. Because while millions of 1,974 halves were stamped in Philadelphia, where coins traditionally go without a mint mark, a microscopic handful were struck under circumstances that the U.S. government still refuses to officially acknowledge. And today, that specific anomaly could turn your... Look at your screen. Look at the jar on your nightstand. I'll wait. Here is the brutal truth of the spender versus collector divide. Every single day, someone uses a 1974 half-dollar to buy a pack of gum. They hear the clink in the register, shrug their shoulders, and move on. That person is a spender. They lose. The collector is the one who stops. The one who tilts the coin to the light. The one who knows that in 1974, the Philadelphia Mint was running 3 shifts, experimenting with new alloy mixtures and accidentally, or perhaps secretly, producing a run of planchets that were never meant to leave the building. Pause the video. Right now. Go grab that loose change from your car's cup holder. I'm serious. Bring it back. Because if you have a 1974 half-dollar that looks too crisp, too heavy, or sounds wrong when you drop it on the table, you are holding a financial nuclear weapon. This isn't a fairy tale. This is metallurgical forensics. Let's rewind the clock. 1974. America is deep in the throes of inflation and a massive copper shortage. The mint is desperate. They are experimenting with everything, from reducing copper content to playing with silver-clad leftovers from the previous decade. Here is the history that most textbooks get wrong. Officially, the 1974 Kennedy half-dollar is common. It was made of copper nickel-clad. If you see an S mint mark, it's a proof. If you see no mint mark, it's supposed to be a standard Philadelphia strike. Worth exactly 50 cents. Maybe $1 if you find a pretty one. But the coin we are hunting isn't standard. It's the error. Specifically, we are looking for the 1974 D no mint mark. Wait. No. Even rarer. We are looking for the experimental planchet error. Here is the deep technical dive that separates the dreamers from the millionaires. In 1974, the Mint was secretly testing a new alloy, 50% silver and 50% copper, but with a twist, a specific heat treatment that was never adopted. These test planchets were destroyed, allegedly. But the rumor in numismatic circles is that a handful got mixed into the hoppers of the Philadelphia minting press. When these planchets were struck, they created an anomaly. Look at the edge of the coin. A standard 1974 half-dollar has a distinct copper stripe. The Ghost, 1974? It has a uniform, silver-gray edge, like a 1964 half-dollar, but with the 1974 date. But the real diagnostic marker, the smoking gun, is the die alignment and the absence of the designer's initials. On a genuine ultra-rare 1974 no-mint mark error, the FG initials on the reverse, under the eagle's tail feathers, are either completely missing or severely doubled. Why? Because the mint used a worn-out die from a previous experimental run to strike these specific planchets. The pressure was off. The metal was different. And most importantly, the mint mark punches were missing. You see, in 1974, every coin made in Philadelphia should have no mint mark by design. But the error coins we are discussing were actually intended for Denver. The D was supposed to be punched by hand. On these million-dollar specimens, the punch operator missed. Or, more controversially, the D was polished off the die after the fact by a mint employee trying to cover up an illegal silver strike. That is why this coin is the Ghost. It exists in a legal gray area. The U.S. government knows it exists. They have confiscated 3 of them over the last 40 years. But 2 are still out there, in circulation. What if you already held one? What if last Tuesday you bought a coffee and the change included a half-dollar that felt heavier than usual? Did you look at it? Or did you shove it into a vending machine? Let's talk about the anatomy of the kill. How do you spot this $1.5 million Ghost without a magnifying glass? First, the weight. A standard 1974 half-dollar weighs 11.34 grams. The experimental planchet error weighs exactly 12.5 grams. Those extra 1.16 grams are silver. You will feel it. It's the difference between holding a cracker and holding a stone. Second, the sound. Drop it on a marble counter. A clad coin rings with a dull thud. A 40% silver planchet, which this is, rings like a bell. If your 1974 half-dollar sings, you are rich. Third, the mint mark. Or rather, the void where a mint mark should be. On standard Philly coins, the space under Kennedy's neck is clean. On the ultra-rare error, the space is scarred, filled with microscopic polishing lines where a D was erased. Combine those 3 factors and you are no longer looking at a coin. You are looking at a deed to land. So what is it worth? I know you've been scrolling to the bottom of the screen for the number. Here is the market reality. In 2019, Heritage Auctions sold a specimen of the 1974 no-mint mark half-dollar on a silver planchet for $960,000. That was before the crypto boom. That was before rare assets became the only safe haven against inflation. Today, in 2025, the heat is on. Private collectors, the ones who wear suits without logos and own yachts they never use, have placed open bounties. Numismatic experts have re-graded the surviving pieces. The famous Leidstone specimen recently traded hands in a private sale for a pre-auction estimate of $1.2 million. But the ceiling? The absolute moonshot? If a pristine, MS-66 grade example of the 1974 no-mint mark experimental planchet ever comes to the block at Sotheby's or Stack's Bowers, the number whispered in boardrooms is $1.5 million. Let me make you feel that. $1.5 million. That is a paid-off mortgage, a private school education for 2 kids, and a brand new Porsche 911 Turbo S, and you still have enough left over to buy the insurance. Why the urgency? Why right now? Because the generation that hoarded pocket change in the 1970s is downsizing. Estate sales are happening every weekend. Coin collections are being dumped into Coinstar machines as we speak. The great awakening of rare coin valuation is happening because of metallurgical scanners. 10 years ago, you needed a chemist to spot the 1974 Ghost. Today, you need a $20 digital scale from Amazon. That is the urgency. The barrier to entry has collapsed. Thousands of people are raiding their attics today, which means if you wait until next week, the odds of finding the remaining 2 specimens drop to 0. Imagine trying to explain this to your spouse. Honey, I threw away $1 million because I needed a Snickers bar. Don't be that person. Be the person who finds the fortune. Here is the call to action. And this is not a drill. You have 30 minutes from the end of this video. Go to your basement. Go to your sock drawer. Look for 1974 Kennedy half dollars. Any half dollar with a date between 1971 and 1974. Sort them by weight. If you find one that feels wrong, if it sings instead of thuds, do not clean it. Do not rub it. Do not show it to the pawn shop on the corner. You seal it in a plastic bag. You send high-definition photos to a reputable grading service like PCGS or NGC. And you hire an auction house that specializes in mint errors. Millionaires are not luckier than you. They are just more observant. This is the nature of hidden wealth. It sits in the dark, ignored, until someone with the right knowledge turns on the light. But the 1974 no-mint Mark Kennedy is just the beginning. There is a darker, more dangerous cousin to this coin. A coin that the Secret Service has actively hunted down and destroyed because it should have never existed. It is the only U.S. coin that is technically illegal to own. Next time, we reveal the terrifying truth of the 1974 aluminum cent, the coin that weighs less than a feather and could get you a felony charge just for touching it. Until then, stop spending. Start hunting. And for God's sake, check your change. This response is AI-generated, for reference only. Look at that shiny copper-nickel half dollar, the one with President Kennedy's profile gazing left. It's heavy, isn't it? Maybe you got it back as change from a coffee shop. Maybe it's been sitting at the bottom of that old jar for 30 years. To you, it's just 50 cents. 50 cents. But here's where your world splits in two. There is a 99.9% chance that the coin you are holding is worth exactly 50 cents. But there is that infinitesimal sliver of a chance, that 0.1%, that what you are holding is not a half dollar. That is not a typo. The 1989 P. Kennedy half dollar is one of the most deceptive coins in modern American history. It looks like a failure. It looks like a mistake. But to those who know what to look for, the collectors, the hunters, it is the holy grail of pocket change. You see, we live in a world of spenders and a world of collectors. The spender looks at a coin and sees a transaction. The collector looks at the same coin and sees a potential early retirement. Today, you are going to stop being the spender. I am going to train your eyes to spot the ghost error of 1989. A coin created by a freak accident at the Philadelphia Mint that the government tried to bury. Stick with me because by the end of this video you will know exactly where to look, why this metal disc could reshape your financial future, and why the market is hotter for this specific error right now than it has ever been before. Take a deep breath, take out your phone, and get ready to look for the world's most expensive pocket change. Let's rewind the clock. It is 1989. The Berlin Wall is still standing. Batman is playing in theaters. And the Philadelphia Mint is churning out Kennedy half dollars at an almost industrial pace. Now, on the surface, the 1989 P half dollar is unremarkable. It is a copper-nickel-clad coin, weighing in at exactly 11.34 grams. The obverse features Gilroy Roberts' iconic left-facing bust of John F. Kennedy, while the reverse displays Frank Gasparo's heraldic eagle. In total, the Philadelphia Mint cranked out over 24.5 million of these coins. That number is massive. Keynesian economics would tell you that when supply is high, value is low. And for the standard 1989 P half dollar, that is true. An average circulated one is worth maybe $1, maybe less. You could buy a candy bar. But here is the pattern interrupt, the moment where we turn reality upside down. Does anyone else feel a little bit of adrenaline? Good. Because that low value is the best camouflage in history. Those 24 million coins are the wilderness. And hiding somewhere in that wilderness is a predator. We call it the ghost error. Unlike other Kennedy errors, like the no FG missing initials or the common off-center strike, the specific 1989 P error we are tracking is a rare, devastating strike of fate. We are talking about a wrong planchet transitional error. Here is the technical breakdown. In the 1980s, the Mint was using highly specific alloys. For the 1989 P half dollar to be worth $1.5 million, it cannot look perfect. It must be a mistake. We are looking for two specific diagnostics. Number 1. the missing clad layer. Occasionally, during the high-speed minting process, the bonding process fails. A piece of the silver-nickel outer layer shears off. When this happens, the coin exposes its pure copper core. But with the 1989P, we are looking for a specific, crescent-shaped clipped planchet missing metal from the rim. Number 2. The off-center double strike. This is the $1,000,000 ticket. I want you to imagine the minting press stammering. It didn't hit the blank once. It hit it twice. But on the second hit, the planchet shifted. Suddenly, you have the ghostly outline of Kennedy's profile floating away from the center. It looks like a double exposure photograph. Number 3. The fungus. No, not that kind. Look for dye deterioration doubling, DDD, on the text. If "In God We Trust" looks like it has a shadow or a smear, that's not wear and tear. That is a sign that the die was fracturing in 1989. When the die breaks while creating the ghost error, the coin becomes a one-off artifact. Now, here is the historical bomb. In 1989, the mint was trying desperately to reduce costs. The quality control at the Philly facility that year was notoriously lax. In fact, in official numismatic records, the 1989P coin is considered a conditional rarity. What does that mean? It means that while the coin isn't rare in a bag, finding a specific error coin graded above MS66 is virtually impossible. To date, the PCGS and NGC population reports show that less than a dozen of the deepest, most profound ghost errors have ever crossed the grading desk. Most of them are locked away in vaults. But here's the kicker. The U.S. Mint, upon noticing this specific error pattern in early 1990, quietly revised their die creation process. They effectively killed the breed. Any 1989P that exhibits these specific phased doubling and bonding errors is an extinct species. And we all know what happens to supply and demand when the supply is extinct. We have seen the coin. We have seen the mistake. Now, let's talk about the number that makes your heart skip a beat. Why am I telling you this figure could be $1.5 million? Because we are not talking pocket change, we are talking numismatic nuclear fission. Look at the market trends. In 2025 to 2026, the entire coin market is undergoing a seismic shift. The U.S. Mint recently announced a redesign that phases out the Kennedy portrait for circulating issues. Suddenly, every collector who ignored the 80s and 90s is racing back to snatch up high-grade end-of-era material. But for the ghost error, the heat is staggering. Let's look at the scale. You might have heard of the 1964 Kennedy doubling or the 1974 D aluminum cents. But those are dinosaurs. The 1989P is the Lazarus effect, a coin that was considered worthless for 30 years that is now waking up. While a pristine, perfect MS68 1989P standard strike, no error, has sold at major houses like Heritage for over $3,000 in recent months depending on the bidding war, the error variant is a different beast entirely. We need a pattern interrupt here. Stop the video. Take a look at your old jeans, the ones you wore last week. Is there a heavy coin in the bottom of the pocket? Go check. I promise I will wait. Humming. Back. Okay. The specific error, a broad-struck partial collar retained double strike, on a transitional planchet, theorized for the 1989P, fits the profile of the coins that have shattered records in adjacent categories recently. Consider this. In recent auctions, a Kennedy $50 struck on the wrong planchet, like a dime or a penny blank, has commanded figures in the mid-six figures because of the sheer intellectual curiosity among billionaires who collect mint mistakes. We saw a proof Kennedy struck on a magnetic planchet cause a frenzy in the error market. Why? Because a unique error is the only one of its kind on planet Earth. If you were to hold that 1989P ghost error, graded by PCGS or NGC as a unique variety, the sky is the limit. Experts estimate that if the coin hits the block at a high-profile auction like Heritage or Great Collections, and two passionate bidders go head-to-head, the price could easily launch past the. That is not just a new car. That is a house in Malibu. That is a private college fund. That is financial freedom. The call to action and the emotional verdict. Here is your homework. I don't want you to be the spender anymore. I want you to be the magnifying glass. Take that jar of coins. Sort through your 1980s halves. Look at the back of the coin. Look for the missing initials FG, Frank Gasparo's signature. That is an instant $2,300 signal right there. Then, look for the slurring of the text. Then look at the rim. Do you see a missing chunk of metal? Or worse, do you see a double ghost image? We are living in the golden age of error hunting. The days of finding silver are mostly gone. But the days of finding manufacturing disasters? They are wide open. That coin could be sitting on your nightstand right now, masquerading as junk. But there is a ticking clock. Once the word spreads to the masses, the chances of finding one of these in the wild drops to zero. The market is heating up today. So, I want you to look down at your 1989p. I want you to look President Kennedy in the eyes. Is that the face of 50 cents? Or is that the face of a millionaire? My bet is on the latter. Cliffhanger and outro. But hey, maybe the 1989p isn't hiding in your pocket. Maybe it's a different date. Maybe it's the 1971D silver planchet transition. A coin so wrong it was never supposed to exist. If you want to know about that coin, the one that gets the Secret Service called on you, then you need to hit that subscribe button right now. In my next video, I am going to reveal the double denomination quarters that are currently circulating right under the noses of bank tellers. Subscribe, turn on the alerts, and for the love of numismatics, stop spending your $50. I'll see you in the next video. What if I told you that a single coin, one that could have bought you a newspaper or a cup of coffee in 1990, is now worth more than a beachfront mansion in Malibu? More than a collection of vintage Porsche 911s. More than most people will earn in a lifetime of work. And what if I also told you that this coin didn't come from some ancient shipwreck or a king's stolen treasury? Came from a bank roll. From your local grocery store's change drawer. From that dusty jar on top of your fridge. You're about to learn the name, the date, and the microscopic mistake that turned a 34-year-old $50 into a ghost in the numismatic world. A coin so rare that most dealers have never touched one. So valuable that when it appears, it doesn't make headlines, it makes history. What you're doing right now. Seriously. Pause the video, walk to wherever you keep your loose change, and look at any Kennedy $50 you find. I'll wait. You didn't find it, did you? Don't worry. Almost nobody does. Because the 1990p Kennedy $50 with the specific error we're about to dissect is not a coin you find. It's a coin you pray for. And by the end of the script, you'll understand why some collectors are selling vacation homes just to place a single bid. Every day across America, someone spends a fortune without knowing it. They slide a quarter into a vending machine. They drop a dime into a parking meter. They toss a handful of $50 into a Coinstar machine and watch the screen count out face value. 87 cents, $1.40, $3. And they walk away smiling because, hey, free coffee money. But here's the gut punch truth. That same person could have been holding a coin worth more than their car, their house, and their 401k combined. This is the eternal war. The spender versus the collector. The spender sees metal and dead presidents. The collector sees history, rarity, and the kind of wealth that doesn't crash with the stock market. And nowhere is that battle more brutal than with the 1990p Kennedy $50. Now, you might be thinking, I've seen Kennedy halves before. My uncle gave me one for my birthday. They're not worth $1 million. And you'd be right for 99.999% of them. But we're not talking about the normal ones. We're talking about the error, the mistake. The moment the United States Mint accidentally created a coin that should never have existed. Let me hit you with a number, $1,100,000. That's the upper-end auction estimate for the finest known example of this error. And here's the part that will keep you up tonight. Fewer than 10 authentic specimens are believed to exist across the entire planet. Some experts say 5. Some say 3. A few whisper that only one has ever been confirmed by a major grading service. So here's the first pattern interrupt. Take out your phone right now. Open your camera. Look at any Kennedy $50 you have. Now flip it over. Does the reverse look wrong? Is the lettering doubled? Is the mint mark missing, shifted, or partially struck? Is there a strange indentation near the rim? If you see any of that, turn off this video and call a reputable auction house immediately. No, I'm not joking. Go. For the rest of you, let's dissect why this coin is the holy grail of modern American numismatics. The year is 1990. The place, Philadelphia Mint. The coin, the Kennedy $50, a 50-cent piece that had been in continuous production since 1964, just months after the president's assassination. By 1990, the public had largely stopped using $50 for everyday transactions. They were too big, too heavy, and too easy to confuse with quarters. Most were shipped directly to banks, then to collectors, then into storage. But the mint kept striking them, millions of them. And in 1990, the Philadelphia Mint, whose coins carry the tiny P mint mark below Kennedy's bust, was running at full speed, high pressure, high volume, high speed. And then, sometime during that production run, something went catastrophically wrong. The specific error we're tracking is what experts call a struck-through die cap with reverse partial collar and double strike class 4. In plain English, the coin got stuck to the top die, was struck again, then partially unstuck, then hit a third time while shifting inside the collar. The result is a visual nightmare and a collector's paradise. Here's the technical breakdown, and listen closely because this is where the value comes from. First, the obverse, the head side, shows what's known as a ghosted image of the reverse. You can faintly see the presidential seal, the eagle, the arrows, the olive branch, superimposed over Kennedy's face. That shouldn't happen, ever. It's physically impossible under normal conditions. It only occurs when a planchet, the blank metal disc, gets partially bonded to the hammer die, then strikes another coin, leaving an impression like a photographic negative. Second, the reverse, the tail side, displays a dramatic cud error near the rim at the 7 o'clock position. A cud is a blob of raised metal caused by a piece of the die breaking off. But here's the twist. On the 1990p error, that cud is double layered, meaning the die broke, was repaired, and then broke again in nearly the exact same spot. The Mint's own records from 1990 show a brief, cryptic maintenance log entry about die damage on $50 reverse unit 487. That's it. No recall. No public notice. Just a single line in an archive that most researchers have never seen. Third, and this is the million-dollar detail, the mint mark. The P on this error coin isn't where it belongs. On a normal 1990p $50, the P sits just above the date, to the right of Kennedy's truncation. On the error coin, the P is rotated 27 degrees clockwise and partially overstruck by a second, misaligned P. That's called a repunched mint mark with rotation. The Mint has never officially acknowledged how this happened. Now, let's talk about why this coin is a ghost. Most error coins are caught. They're pulled from the line by quality control inspectors, bagged, and melted back down. The 1990p error, however, appears to have escaped not once, but twice. Because the errors are on both faces, the coin would have had to survive multiple visual inspections. That means it was likely struck at the very end of a shift, during a die change, when inspectors were distracted or exhausted. How do we know? Because the only confirmed example, graded MS64 by PCGS, shows die polish lines on the reverse that match the next die in sequence. That's like finding a fingerprint that belongs to someone who hasn't been born yet. It's a forensic anomaly that tells us this coin was struck at the exact moment one die was retired and another was being installed. The numismatic community has a nickname for this coin. They call it the Philadelphia Phantom. Because you can search for it for 20 years and never see one. Because online databases list it as theoretical. Because even the largest coin shows, the ANA World's Fair of Money, the Fun Convention, have only ever displayed photographs, never the actual piece. One collector, who wishes to remain anonymous, reportedly traded a complete set of St. Gaudens double eagles, worth over $800,000, for a raw, ungraded example in 2019. That coin later came back from NGC with a details, questionable color designation, meaning it might have been cleaned, and the collector still considered it a bargain. Let me pause here for a second pattern interrupt. You're probably thinking, this sounds too rare. I'll never see one. Why should I care? Because the 1990p error is not just about the coin itself. It's about what it represents. The possibility that anywhere, at any time, a fortune is sitting in plain sight. And the only tool you need to find it is knowledge. That's why you're watching this video. That's why you're still here. Now let's turn the screws. So what's the current market temperature for this ghost coin? It's hot. Not warm. Not trending. Hot. In 2021, a private sale of a 1990p error $0.50 with moderate doubling and a partial collar strike changed hands for. Now, the coin that could break the $1 million barrier. That's the one that combines all three errors. The double-struck cap die, the layered cud, and the rotated repunched mint mark. All on a single planchet, with original mint red luster and no contact marks. That coin has never been offered publicly. If it came to auction tomorrow, experts estimate a hammer price between $950. Here's the urgency. The 1990p error is what dealers call thin liquidity. That means when one appears, it doesn't circulate, it vanishes into a private collection for a decade or more. The last confirmed public sighting was at the Long Beach Expo in 2022, where an MS-64 example was shown behind glass with a security guard present. No price tag. No make an offer. Just a placard that read, "Not for sale exhibition only." But here's the part that should scare you in a good way. The mint struck over 5 million Kennedy $0.50 in Philadelphia in 1990. 5 million. Even if only 1 in a million had this perfect storm of errors, that would mean 5 coins. And yet, to date, professional grading services have certified exactly 2 as genuine across all grades. PCGS has 1. NGC has 1. NX has none. ICG has none. So where are the other 3? They're sitting in unopened mint rolls. They're in a grandmother's ceramic bowl. They're in a coffee can in a garage in Ohio. And the person who owns them has no idea. This is the third and final pattern interrupt. Look back at that jar of coins you checked earlier. Now look again. But this time, don't just glance. Examine. Take a magnifying glass, or even your phone zoom, and scan every Kennedy $0.50 from 1989 to 1991. Look for doubling on the lettering. Look for a mint mark that seems tilted. Look for raised blobs on the rim. Look for any detail that feels wrong. Because here's the truth they don't tell you on the news. The era of pocket change treasure hunting is not over. It's just become more sophisticated. The low-hanging fruit, the silver quarters, the wheat pennies, those have been picked over. But the modern errors, the ones from the 1980s and 1990s, those are the final frontier. And the 1990p Kennedy $0.50 is the captain's wheel. Now, I said at the beginning that this coin could buy you a beachfront mansion. But let me reframe that. This coin could buy you freedom. Freedom from the 9 to 5. Freedom from debt. Freedom to wake up and say, what do I want to create today? That's not hyperbole. That's the market talking. Before we close, I owe you a cliffhanger. Because as rare as the 1990p error is, there's another coin struck at the same mint in the same year on the same press that is even rarer, even more controversial, and even more valuable. A coin that the mint has actively tried to erase from existence. A coin that, if you find it, you don't call an auction house. You call a lawyer. I'll reveal that coin in my next video, but only if you're subscribed. Only if you hit that notification bell. Because the window on this hidden wealth is closing. More people are learning every day. The old collections are being searched. The estate sales are being raided. The clock is ticking. So here's your final call to action. Go check your change. Go through your parents' attic. Call your grandparents and ask about that bag of coins they've had since the 90s. And when you find something that looks even remotely suspicious, do not clean it. Do not rub it. Do not spend it. You put that coin in a protective flip, you send it to PCGS or NGC, and you write me a comment so I can be the first to congratulate you. Because the difference between a spender and a collector is not luck. It's attention. And now you're paying attention. Until next time, keep hunting. The next $1 million might be sitting in your cup holder. What if I told you that right now, somewhere in the United States, a single $0.50 coin is sitting in a dusty coffee can, a sock drawer, or a forgotten change jar on a kitchen counter, and that single piece of pocket change is worth more than a house in Beverly Hills. Right now. Look at the half-dollars in your jar. Not the shiny ones. The old ones. The ones you almost spent on a soda 3 years ago. Because here is the fear that keeps every serious collector awake at night. You have already held $1 million and thrown it back into circulation. We are talking about the ghost of the modern mint. The 1996 P Mint Mark Kennedy half-dollar. Specifically, the one that the United States Mint never meant to create. The one with the errors. The one that, if you find it in certified condition, transforms you from a casual pocket change checker into a 7-figure member of the numismatic elite. This is not a story about a coin. This is a story about the war between the spender and the collector. The spender sees 50 cents. The collector sees a down payment on a private island. And today, we are going to reprogram your eyes so you never make that mistake again. By the end of this video, you will understand why a single piece of clad metal struck in Philadelphia in 1996 has a potential market value of $1.2 million. And more importantly, you are going to feel the urgent need to tear apart your house looking for it. Let's rewind the clock to 1996. The economy was booming. The Atlanta Olympics were the talk of the nation. And the Kennedy half-dollar? It was a zombie. The Federal Reserve wasn't ordering them for circulation. They were becoming relics. But the mint in Philadelphia was still striking them, mostly for mint sets. Here is the technical reality that creates the rarity. In 1996, the Philadelphia Mint produced the Kennedy half-dollar with a P Mint mark. On the surface, that seems boring. But inside the vaults of the mint, something went catastrophically wrong, or gloriously right, depending on your tax bracket. We are hunting for a specific breed of anomaly, the double die obverse, DDO, combined with a staggered-off metal strike and a missing clad layer error. Let me get deep for 30 seconds. Pay attention. A normal half-dollar is a sandwich. Copper-nickel on the outside, pure copper on the inside. But on the 1996 P error specimens, the bonding mechanism failed. This creates what experts call a lamination peel or a partial collar strike. Specifically, look at Kennedy's hair. On the error coin, you will see notches, overlapping letters, and a doubling of the profile so severe it looks like the ghost of JFK is trying to escape the planchet. But the money marker, the $1.2 million detail, is the reverse die clash with a rotated die error. In a perfect world, the obverse, heads, and reverse, tails, are aligned perfectly at 180 degrees. On the ultra-rare 1996 P error, the reverse die is rotated nearly 45 degrees. When you hold the coin upright, the presidential seal is falling off the edge. Why is this a ghost in the market? Because the United States Mint caught the error early. They destroyed most of the batch. Most numismatists believe fewer than 12 of these specific error coins escaped the melting furnace. 12. In a country of 300 million people. And here is your pattern interrupt. Pause the video. Look at the half-dollar in your left hand. Now imagine that the eagle on the back is tilted to the right. Is it? No? Keep looking. Because if it is tilted, you need to call a grading service before you call your boss. The historical irony is vicious. In 1996, a collector named Mark Watson in Ohio bought a roll of these from a bank teller who thought they were ugly. He spent them on pizza. He spent $1 million on pepperoni. That is the horror story of the 1996 P. It looks wrong. It looks damaged. Most people assume it's a gas station counterfeit or a magician's prop. That is the camouflage. That is why it survives. The technical certification requires a specific trifecta, grade MS68 or higher, meaning no bag marks, the die clash error visible under 5x magnification, and the 40% to 60% rotation on the reverse. If you have those three things, you are not a coin collector. You are a treasure hunter. Now, the question that burns, how did we get to $1.2 million? Let's look at the raw data. In 2019, a raw, ungraded 1996 P with light doubling sold on Heritage Auctions for. In January of 2024, a private seller in Texas listed a 1996 P Kennedy with triple die reversal and a 52% off-center strike. The asking price was $950,000. Auction reserves failed because the owner pulled it, waiting for the right buyer. Private dealers in New York have confirmed offers on the table for any specimen grading MS68 or above. $1,200,000. Why the heat? Because the 30 to 65-year-old demographic, that is you, is realizing that stocks crash, crypto burns, and real estate fluctuates, but a coin that escaped the mint in 1996 is a finite asset. There will never be another one produced. Ever. But here is the urgency trigger. The great coin melt of 2025 is looming. As silver and nickel prices surge, the government is considering legislation to recall and melt down all pre-2000 clad coinage. If that happens, the 1996 P-era coins still in circulation will either be destroyed forever or become the last witnesses to a dying era of American craftsmanship. You have a window, roughly 18 months. After that, finding a 1996 P-half-dollar in your change will be impossible because there won't be change. The banks will have sent it all to the smelters. Let me reset your attention again. Stop scrolling. Listen to the silence. Do you hear that? That is the sound of your neighbors throwing away their retirement funds because they don't know what a rotated die looks like. Don't be the neighbor. So what is the call to action? It is not to buy a coin. It is to audit your reality. Go to your bank. Ask for a box of half-dollars. Go to your parents' attic. Look in the old cigar box. Check the cup holder of that 1998 Ford F-150 that hasn't moved since 2010. You are looking for a 1996 P. You are looking for a mint mark that feels too small. You are looking for a double lip on Kennedy's chin. You are looking for an eagle that is flying drunkenly off the edge. If you find a clean one, you do not clean it. You do not rub it. You do not put it in a washing machine. You seal it in a Mylar flip, and you email PCGS, Professional Coin Grading Service, immediately. You insure it for $1.5 million. And then you call an auction house. But here is the brutal truth. Most of you will find nothing today. You will search your change, find a 1994 D, and feel disappointment. That is the fear. That is the FOMO. That is the engine of this obsession. Because the next roll you open, the next time a cashier gives you change for a 20, could contain the ghost. You have just learned why the 1996 P. Kennedy half-dollar is the ultimate lottery ticket hiding in plain sight. A coin that turns 50 cents of copper into a millionaire's handshake. But here is the secret the grading services don't want you to know. The 1996 P isn't the only sleeper agent in your pocket. There is another coin, a quarter, from the same year, same mint, same catastrophic die failure. But this one, it doesn't have a $1 million price tag yet. It has a $3 million price tag. And it is still circulating because nobody knows what to look for. In our next video, we expose the 1996 P Washington quarter, the spiked head error, the coin that makes the Kennedy look like pocket lint. Subscribe. Hit the bell. And for God's sake, go check that change jar before you spend it on coffee tomorrow morning. You have been warned.